Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is John and this is your Modern Tech Breakdown. Today I'm taking a look at the latest court setback for Apple and how its reputation has taken a hit as a result. Let's jump into it. So here I have a write-up from the New York Times about the mess Apple has made for themselves over their handling of a court order to allow apps to use any payment platform they wish within their apps on the iOS App Store. And before we get too deep into this, I'll just state up front, I use Apple products and I generally like the company. However, they've been making so much money for so long, I think they've kind of lost their way a bit, and this is a case that really demonstrates this to me. But anyways, back to the story. Since the start of the App Store on the iPhone, app makers have been forced to use Apple's payment system for in-app purchases, and Apple has taken up to 30% cut on those sales. Well, Epic Games, the maker of the popular game Fortnite, sued Apple to stop this practice in an effort to be able to use its own payment system and avoid that 30% cut to Apple. And this is actually a pretty important detail for Fortnite. The game itself is free, and all the revenue that Epic receives is from in-app purchases of player items, skins, etc. So obviously, Epic would prefer not to give Apple that 30% cut. Well, the courts agreed with Epic and ruled that Apple had to allow for alternate payment systems. And Apple's reaction and handling from here forward is where they really hurt themselves, in my opinion. According to the New York Times reporting, once this ruling came down, Apple's leadership debated if they could still charge a commission on sales made through other payment platforms. Somehow through the discussion, they came up with a figure of 27% for that commission, which is a very clever amount. It's actually lower than the 30% that they charge for using their own payment system, but it's not low enough to really encourage most developers to go through the hassle of running and setting up their own payment system. At this point, Apple decided to get an economic study done on the issue, and surprise, surprise, the study that Apple paid for said that the 27% rate would be a great commission percentage to charge. And going even further, Apple also put up a scary screen to the user whenever an alternate payment platform was presented that stated, quote, Apple is not responsible for the privacy or security of purchases made on the web, unquote. This is basically the definition of malicious compliance. Well, unfortunately for Apple, Epic didn't quit on the case and went back to the court claiming that Apple was not following the order. Apple, for its part, tried to hide documents related to their internal deliberations about this issue, and the judge didn't buy it, and after reviewing the material was pretty upset. The judge called the economic study that Apple commissioned a sham, said that one Apple executive flat out lied to the court, and called the whole thing a cover-up. So now Apple's reputation is heavily tarnished in the eyes of the courts, and if you haven't noticed, governments around the world are going after big tech these days, and Apple is the biggest target. So from now on, Apple is going to be forced to defend accusations of hiding evidence or lying in all these other cases that it's defending right now, so it's a real problem for Apple's legal team. And this whole episode is unfortunate in my eyes. Apple has maintained a reputation that, at least to me, is superior to that of many of its competitors. But an episode like this really takes them down a peg, and they've been struggling to bring innovative products to the marketplace. The Vision Pro was far from a mainstream success, and Apple Intelligence is a ticking clock for them right now. I don't think it's a surprise that there's all kinds of rumors that Apple is going to be bringing new and different devices coming in 2026 and 2027. Apple has been printing money for so long, I think they've gotten a little fat and lazy, and I think they really need to bring some new ideas to the marketplace. But Apple's been in far worse places throughout its history. This is a mere speed bump considering the existential crises from 20 to 30 years ago. So I'm optimistic they're going to be able to right the ship soon. But what do you think about all this? Leave a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.